Okay, hey guys, it's Rachel. I tried to do this lesson on my sister's easel that she has. It wasn't really working out. You couldn't really see what I was writing, so I made a PowerPoint, and I'm gonna attempt to teach the math lesson with the PowerPoint, even though I think it would be a lot easier with the chalkboard. But I'm gonna try to do my best right now and see how this works. And this recording device that I'm using only has 15 minutes of recording, so I'm gonna try to get this done in 15 minutes. And hope it's good, guys. Okay, so here we go. If I could start the slideshow. Okay, from beginning. So I'm going to do the first lesson for math for my 7th grade students. So today's lesson is about ratios and unit rates, and I promise it's going to be fun today. So let's start. First, before every lesson, I'm going to give you an objective. An objective is going to answer what are the goals for our lesson. So, by the end of this lesson, I know you guys are going to be able to define ratio and unit rate, and you're going to find ratios and calculate a unit rate given a ratio of fractions, lengths, and areas. So basically, you're going to be able to define ratio and unit rate, and you're going to find a ratio and calculate a unit rate when you're given a ratio. Okay, so I hope that's simple. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. So, let's move on. Okay, so our key points for our lessons. Can anyone read that? Okay, yes. What's the key point? Yeah, a key point is, what will you absolutely know after this lesson? That is the question that this slide is going to answer. So after this lesson, you're going to know how to define a ratio, define a unit rate, find a ratio, and find a unit rate. And I know that you're going to be able to confidently answer all the questions, answer all these key points at the end of our lesson. You guys are smart, and I know you'll get it. Okay, so let's do an opening, and I want to make this fun and active so you guys are all pumped to learn, and you guys are getting your brain juices moving, and it's all going to be fun. Okay, and I think because this is our first lesson, I want you guys to be able to get to know your classmates a little more. So I thought we'll be doing a little question game. I think everyone knows Would You Rather. It's always a game that you have fun doing with your friends, and you make up disgusting questions, and everyone gets a good laugh out of it. So today we're going to be playing Would You Rather for our opening. So I want everyone to stand up in a big group, and I'm going to read 2 scenarios. And if you would rather do scenario 1, you're going to move to the back left corner, and if you would rather do scenario 2, you're going to move to the back right corner. Okay, so let's get this started. Question 1: would you rather find true love or find $10 million? If you would rather find true love, go to the back left corner. And if you would rather find $10 million, go to the back right corner. Okay. So, let's say, let me get this pointer out. This is going to be a little clunky of a presentation because I've never done this before. I usually use the board. Okay, so, let's say 12 of you chose true love, and 5 of you chose to get $10 million. Okay, so our next question: would you rather never be able to shower again or only ever eat vegetables again? Okay, so let's say that this time it was 5 to 12. Okay. And then our final question is, would you rather have a rewind button on your life or a pause button? Let's say this time it's 11 to 6. Okay, so without knowing it, you guys, you just helped me write down some ratios. So we just found our first ratios for today. So does everyone kind of understand what we just did? And if not, we're going to clarify. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, so what is a ratio? Does anyone want to take a gander at it now that we just kind of did a ratio exercise, even though you didn't really know you were doing a ratio exercise? Okay, so a ratio is a comparison between 2 numbers with different units. And by different units, I mean you're comparing 2 different things. So you're not comparing apples to apples, you're comparing apples to oranges, or inches to hours, or miles to hours. So you guys have heard miles per hour? Okay, that's a unit rate. It's also a ratio. So, can anyone give me some examples of a ratio? So let's say the ratio of girls to boys in this room is, I don't know, 10 to 7. 10 girls to 7 boys. That's a ratio, okay? So I would have the students give examples. Okay, and how do we find a ratio? It's super simple, you guys. I know you guys can all do this. You'll wrap your head around it, and it's going to be great. So basically, you're just going to count, okay? So for the first step is to make note of the two things being compared. If you're given a picture, figure out what they're trying to have you compare. So maybe you're going to be comparing apples to oranges. Make sure that you can recognize the pictures, and you're going to be counting two separate things. So then the second step is you're going to count the first thing, and then you're going to count the second thing. So you count, say, the number of apples, and then the number of oranges. And then the next step is you're going to write the two numbers in ratio form, and that's basically all you have to do to find a ratio. So there are 3 ways to write a ratio, and for our lesson, we're really going to just use the colon, but in other classes in the future, you might see a ratio written a different way, and I want you guys to know every way that you can to write a ratio so you never have to be confused. So you can write it with a colon, as I said, with the number 2 between the two numbers, 3, 2, 5, or by using a diagonal line, 3, diagonal line, 5. Okay. And I don't want you guys to get confused because the diagonal line between 3 and 5 kind of looks like a fraction. But a ratio is not a fraction at all. Can anyone tell me what a fraction is? Yes, a fraction is part of a whole, okay? A fraction represents part of something. So you maybe ate 3/5 of a pecan pie and it was delicious and now your stomach hurts. But if you have a ratio that says 3, diagonal line 5, maybe you have 3 pecan pies and 5 apple pies on the table. You're comparing different types of pies. And those are whole pies. Those aren't fractions of pies. Those are 3 whole, uneaten, untouched pies. So a fraction is part of a whole. Ratios are comparing whole numbers. And I hope you guys understand that. Okay, and another thing to be careful of with ratios is to put the numbers in the right order. So say if the question asked you to compare the to find the ratio of pickles to cucumbers. So you would put the number of pickles first and then the number of cucumbers because it says pickles to cucumbers. So if you had 6 pickles and 7 cucumbers, 6 colon 7. Just make sure to put it in the right order because otherwise it's going to be wrong. Okay, so here's a quick example. I would normally have the kids do this out, but I want to be able to do the whole lesson quickly for you guys so that we can get this all, so that I can post this and we can kind of share it and critique it. And I'm sorry I have to rush on this, but I used rappers and kid show characters because I thought it was pretty funny, and I think Max from Max and Ruby is super cute. Okay, so now we're going to move on to unit rates. Okay, so a unit rate is just a ratio, so it's nothing to worry about. It's a different name, and you have to do a few more steps to find a unit rate, but it's basically just a ratio. So, does anyone know what a unit rate is before I actually give you the exact definition? Okay, yeah, close. So, the definition of a unit rate is a ratio in which one of the two numbers is 1. So it's just a ratio, but one of the two numbers next to the colon is a 1. So it's pretty plain and simple, okay? But there are a few steps to calculate it, and I'm going to give you 3 different methods to find a unit rate. Okay, so here are the 3 different methods. The first is the picture method, and this method takes the longest to do, but it almost ensures a right answer no matter what. So here's the question. Sorry, I'm also sick, so... Okay, Granny has made 24 snickerdoodles. She has 4 grandchildren. How many cookies did she make per grandchild? Okay, so what is the ratio given in this question? Okay, let me get out. Oops, let's go back. Okay, I'm going very far forward. Okay. Oh my god, I did it again. Okay. Okay, so let me get the pointer, and I keep saying okay, but... Okay, here's the pen. Okay, so Granny has 24 snickerdoodles and 4 grandchildren. Those are our 2 numbers, and that is our ratio that we're working with, okay? So, we're trying to figure out now a unit rate given this ratio. That's one of our objectives. So how many cookies did she make per grandchild? Okay, so what's the definition of a unit rate again? Yes. Okay, so with a unit rate, you're going to want to put the number 1 before grandchild, okay? So how many cookies did she make per 1 grandchild? So when you read these questions, always put a 1 after the word per. Okay, so how many cookies did she make per grandchild? So 4 is the number of grandchildren. So instead of the 4, we're going to be trying to find what number is it going to be equivalent. So 24 to 4, what number is going to be equivalent to blank to 1? So I want you guys to draw 4 boxes to represent the 4 grandchildren. We're going to pretend these are the grandchildren's mouths, and they're really deformed right now. I'm trying to hurry because I only have less than 5 minutes left to get through this. Okay, so these are going to represent our 4 grandchildren's mouth. Okay, so then we would go 1 by 1, tallying, making a mark for each cookie, and we would count to 24. And when we're done counting to 24, we would count the number of tallies we made in only one of the boxes to find the unit rate. So if I did all that out, there would be 6 tallies in this one box. So there would be 6 tallies in each of the 4 boxes, but because we're trying to find a unit rate, we want to know how many tallies there are in one box, or how many snickerdoodles are for 1 grandchild. So we would circle this box, and it would be 6 snickerdoodles per 1 grandchild. So that's how you'd find the unit rate there. Okay, so we'll move on to the next slide. Okay, this next method is using a proportion, and I also call it the Beyonce method. Me and my friends did this in high school, and I will show you why. So we're going to use the same problem. So we have 24 cookies and 6 grandchildren. To write a proportion, you're going to put it, we're going to put the numbers vertically with a horizontal bar between them. And then we want to find what number. Oh, it's actually not a 6. That's the answer. It's a 4. Okay, this is really bad right now, but okay. So let's put an X here. The X just represents a question mark, and a 1 here because we want to know how many snickerdoodles, X, there are per 1 grandchild. So you have to make sure you have grandchildren on the bottom and snickerdoodles on the top. So we want to find out how many snickerdoodles per 1 grandchild, so it's next to the 24. So now here's the Beyonce method. You're going to cross multiply, and you're going to circle these numbers, and we call it the Beyonce method because you're putting a ring around it, and we always go, if you like it, then should have put a ring on it. I suck at singing. I'm absolutely terrible. But yeah, so it's the Beyonce method because you put a ring around them. So you're going to cross multiply here. And 24 times 1 is 24, and 4 times x is just 4x. So now we want to get x by itself so we can figure out what x is. So you're going to divide this by 4. So right here, you're going to get 24 divided by 4 is 6 equals x. Okay, cool. Good job, guys. Okay, so next, the method 3 is division. Okay, so basically in that last problem, if you go back, to find the answer, we basically just divided 24 by 4. But the reason we use proportions in the box method is so that you know that you're getting the right answer. And you know you're not switching up what numbers to put where. So you don't want to put 4 divided by 24, and that would be a common mistake. But, so if you want to use a proportion, or the box rule, you can almost guarantee a right answer if you do that right. But the division rule is quicker, it's a lot simpler, and if you know you're setting up the numbers right, you're going to get the right answer. So 24 divided by 4 is 6. You just have to be cautious and make sure that you know what you're doing right there. Okay, guys. This is guided practice. I don't really have time to do this. I have less than a minute, so I'm going to speed through this. I wanted them to find the ratio of vowels to consonants, and I was going to give them one of their spelling words so they could practice spelling and math at the same time. So one of the spelling words on their list for that week I would have put here and made them do the ratio of vowels to consonants. And then, I would have them do page number 6 in their workbook, and then number 23 in their workbook, because those were different levels of hardness. Then I have their conversion factors for them up, and some general rules for independent practice. This is their assessment.